Good afternoon, students. Today, we are delighted to have Kirti Gajjali from our 2017 BMS batch, and we welcome her to our alumni podcast series.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kirti, for joining us.
Thank you.
This is a unique startup because it has been started by two HR alumnus, Nishant Jhunjhunwala and Kirti. So we are delighted that Kirti could make it today, and the duo who started on campus are doing very well in the Ayurveda space.
That's right.
And I would leave it to her to tell her more about her startup.
So thank you so much for the intro. So Nishant and I were met in college. We were good friends. Although the idea of our brand name is Foresta Organics. Although the idea did not originate here, but we got a lot of environment. We got a certain environment. We got certain mentorship. Although the idea was of a startup was not that spoken about at that point of time, but the meeting with professors, the our batchmates, our peers, the guest lectures that used to happen on campus, all of it somewhere in a major way contributed to our ideas of what we want to do and how we want to do it. And so I passed out in 2017, and the idea of Foresta came in 2019. So, and we were friends even after college, but the memories and the lessons that we learned here helped us navigate this creating this startup in a lot of ways, and it's still with us. So, I can I take the liberty of talking something about
Please,
So,
we all want to know more about Fiesta and what are you doing with it?
So, when we started Foresta, started thinking about it in 2019, and back then there weren't a lot of nutraceutical and health supplement brands that were clean label. So, when I say clean label, it means only the ingredients that are going to contribute to a certain specific solution or the result. Uh, so Nishant and I, we came together, we started discussing about it, and in a few months, COVID hit, right? So our thought process was that when we wanted to start a health supplement company, the major years would go into educating our consumers. But guess what? The COVID did it for us, right? And so it propelled the whole industry forward many years. And here we were. People were already, they suddenly became conscious about their health. They wanted to take preventive measures, and we were already working on it. So back then what happened, we started speaking to a lot of people around us, right? And honestly, I'll just say this, we intended to create something for us in the very first place, right? Because I have been a clean label enthusiast before it became a trend. This has become a trend in the recent years, right? But back then, I had the habit of reading supplement facts and all of those things. It was my personal interest, because I was a wellness enthusiast back then. Um, and it so happened that we had a certain value system in place, and after COVID we got into consumer research, right? We wanted to research about this industry, how, because back then people did not understand, like even now when I talk to a few of my relatives and consumers, they label it as medicine, right?
Correct.
So we as founders, we also have to make the consumers and also the people around us understand that what is the difference between a medicine and what is the difference between
A supplement.
a supplement. What is a supplement, what is a medicine, right? So uh, competition wise, yes, there have been a lot of brands that have come up in the health and wellness space. A lot of brands have come up in the Ayurveda space, but it's been a good thing for us and not a bad thing, because what happens when you are in a new industry, you want other players to come and create this industry from scratch. A single player cannot create an industry, cannot create that level of awareness, that level of so for example, even if you want to understand the buying behavior, what are the likes and dislikes, what is working, you cannot go into the wellness industry, especially the Ayurveda supplement, and do a market research on such a small scale. For a company, for a startup, doing something like this on a large scale was not possible back then. Because of new entrants, our competitors also, they also have contributed a lot to the industry, so yeah, thanks to them. uh, and where does Foresta come in, right? So when you think about Ayurveda, the first thing that you think about is like, okay, there's going to be some jadi booty kind of thing, some baba is going to give, or some doctor is going to give you some churan, right? But we have to agree to that, that the first thing what comes to mind when we think about Ayurvedic immunity? Chawanprash, right? That
Absolutely.
was the only thing available back then for your immunity. So we understood one thing, that there is a market for Ayurveda in India and a lot of growing demand globally, right? But what the consumers needed was in a easy, accessible, on the go form, a contemporary Ayurvedic brand, right? So that's where we came in, and that's how the name Foresta Organics came in. We wanted the base, the roots of Ayurveda to be in place, the culture and the traditions of Ayurveda to be inculcated into our startup, into our brand, but at the same time give it a modern, a global outlook for the new age contemporary consumers.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That's wonderful, Kirti. I think the students should learn from that she attributes the college environment to
absolutely.
her startup, though the startup was not done during her campus life, but the friendship, the memories, and the connect she carried from campus 2 years later, you know, came out into a beautiful startup that is Foresta Organics, and it's doing very well for them. So I think as students, you should learn that college is not just classroom; it is beyond classroom also, and your friendship can result in business opportunities as well in the future.
Absolutely. Like I attribute, of course, Foresta has come into existence because I got a co-founder, because I came here, right?
Wow,
It wouldn't have been otherwise.
awesome.
And not only on business front, but even on personal fronts, there's so much more to take beyond classrooms, right? I mean, your clubs. I haven't been, like, I'll say this out. I do regret I haven't been a very regular member of any club, and yet I got so much out of it, right? Uh, I tried to attend most of the lectures. I remember I'll still share something that I was just talking to these guys also. So there was a guest lecture that day. I think it was someone from Tata had come. His name was Rajan.
Mukund Rajan, I
Mukund,
guess.
I
Yes.
think Mukund Rajan had come that day, and we were all supposed to attend it. It was a compulsory event, right? And back then, I remember Amaya Ambulkar sir.
Yes.
So
Yes.
students were protesting, right? Like, why are we supposed to come and attend this? So Amaya sir said that, I have spoken to Dr. Shahani about this, and Dr. Shahani said that, the students are not aware what do they want in life and where do they want to go in life. They don't know what do they want. Make them come here, make them sit, let them learn something. They don't know at this point of time how is it going to help them, right? Trust me, guys, that lecture was good. It was not only about what he said in that guest lecture, but it was what I learned. I still remember where I sat, and how packed it was. Um, the kind of questions that the students were asking to him, right? You understand where are your peers, where do they stand. Uh, Try to get that opportunity to talk to them and understand how are they thinking about it, right? It's going to help you. Like, for example, asking. I think back then somebody had asked a question. Tata Nano failed, right? So, do you think there was a branding error there? Instead of positioning it as a common man's car, you would have positioned it as a youth car. Maybe it would have worked out. It clicks something in you, right? It's not just, you don't learn things only in the classroom. You learn things in these guest lectures, and guys, don't miss them out. Uh, the faculty here makes a lot of effort to get these guest lecturers here, and the guest lecturers also makes a lot of effort to share and contribute.
Absolutely.
Make the most of it, because when you are out, it's very difficult to for you to start networking and meet these people and get those insights. Trust me, it takes a lot of time. You have to pay for it. Okay, let's agree to that. You have to start paying for it. You have to start paying for the events, for the master classes, and for everything. You're getting it here with the mentorship of your
Absolutely.
teachers. Just exploit it.
She's not only saying explore but exploit it,
Yes.
and it is free of cost. It is not being charged for. So
Yes.
it's like an icing on the cake there. So I think students, what you learn from her is back then, as she rightly said, Dr. Shani told her that students are not aware of what is good for them. Similarly, fast forward down the line. citizens are not aware what is good for their health. Now she's in that same space doing the same thing, trying to create awareness about Ayurveda as a preventive method in which
Yes,
you can take care of your well-being and health.
that's
And
right.
that's what you have to do, my friends. So I think we must learn from our guest today, who has been a student. I also remember her declining a placement offer. She got into one of the top-notch consulting firm. Of course, we'll not take the name here. And the entire college wanted to get into that consulting role. She got in, and she's like, "Sir, I'm not sure if I want to do this." Am I correct? If I remember it correctly, 2017.
Yes,
The whole college was one side, and this girl was one side. And my interaction was limited to her
yes,
with
very
regards
limited.
to placements only, as I was teaching BCom and she was in BMS. And she came back to me and said, "I want to, kind of not sure. I would like to do my own thing. Maybe not today, but 2 years." And here she
Yeah,
is today doing very well.
yeah.
So you must learn that what is good for you, you must decide for yourself and stick to the knitting.
Of course, and I would wait. Of course, this was supposed to be offline, but I remember those interviews very well. And one thing I have learned is that even in your interviews, guys, be honest. Be absolutely honest, because somewhere in those interviews, I realized what I wanted. In my second round of interview, I realized a question was asked to me: where do you see yourself 5 years from now? And I took a pause. I wanted to understand, like, this was the very first time somebody had asked me this question, right? So I said, it was like my heart speaking out. I said, 5 years down the line, I see myself, I see creating a brand, I see creating a business. I'm not sure right now, to be honest, what do I want to do, but I know this is somewhere in my heart. I know this is where I'm going to go.
And look at her.
Yeah.
Today she has created Foresta Organics. And what I learned from her, that they've also received a FDA approval.
Yes, so FDA approval, yes, in the US. So FDA approval is something that when you are going for to the US, you have to get it approved. So yeah, we launched digitally in India to start with. Then a year ago, we became an omni-channel brand. So we are present offline also in GT and MT across Mumbai and Delhi. Uh, Online digitally, we are present pan India, also in the US. So yeah, it's going great for us.
So she is building what she envisioned
Yeah,
that time in 2017. That's wonderful.
thank
I've
you.
also happened to read one piece in one of the newspapers which said that 70% of the healthcare supplements, primarily protein supplements,
Right.
have some of the other concerns, and they are not, they're not, whatever is sold in India is not even accepted in the US there. So, what are your takes? That is it that the healthcare market is ignoring the Indian consumer, or there will be some change in the future?
So thank you so much for that question, because this is something that we have been trying to answer since we started this. So there are two takes. When we talk about the protein, when you talk about health supplements, there are a lot of different things. There are
Categories,
proteins, there are functional
vitamins, functional
foods,
foods,
vitamins,
superfoods.
superfoods. There are a lot of things that come under it. So when it happens, what happens mostly in case of proteins and multivitamins is that the formulations, of course, needs to be different, because the dietary needs of an Indian consumer and an American consumer are different, right?
Absolutely.
So the protein requirements, the multivitamin requirements, based on the geography, the diet,
Weather,
the weather,
climate.
everything is different. But when we talk about the quality, yes, we still are catching up with it. It's happening, the change is coming. More and more brands are coming in the clean label space, because
That's what you are.
yes,
Initially,
that's what we are. That's how we started. That is one of the core values at Foresta that we follow. If it's not checked, we don't go ahead, whatever may be, right?
absolutely.
So so at Foresta, like, what just to contribute something on Foresta's front. So we started in India, right? Just like 3 months ago, we launched in the US, and the formulation that was used in India for the past 3-4 years, the same formulation, the same quality has been extended to the
Awesome.
American markets.
Awesome.
So for us, that was the greatest thing, because most of the time, what happens is the brand, the company, ends up creating a different lineup. For example, even if it's a simple multivitamin, the quality, the grade is different. you can see that difference.
So you're the perfect example of make in India to be
Absolutely.
going abroad to the US and catering to the US market per se. That's wonderful. We are happy to see that both of you are doing well. Of course, we will also get Mr. Jhunjhunwala soon. And I remember him also when he came with his CV for the first time, saying, "Sir, why do I need to have a CV?" And we had an interesting conversation on that as well, which we will take with Mr. Jhunjhunwala. So, Kirti, another question that I had was, uh, funding is always a challenge. पैसा सबको चाहिए, and our students feel that valuation is the game that you should be in. So did you go for any funding, or you are bootstrapped, you have used your own funds, and what is the amount that you started with, if
So
you don't mind
very,
sharing?
absolutely. It's a very interesting question, and most of the times, Nishant takes a lot of pride in talking about this. So back when we started with 1.5 lakh rupee. Like it was a very small amount.
Awesome.
That was the capital of our business, where how we started. Interestingly, that's the cost involved in buying a new iPhone today, right, guys? So back, like, even right now, I don't own an iPhone because I don't feel the need for it as of now. But of course, I end up seeing a lot of people investing and getting obsessed with their iPhones. Of course, it's a great purchase, but there are other ways, other things also that are important in your life. And coming back to Foresta, we started as a bootstrapped company and we are still bootstrapped, right? Of course, we infused our own money into this. And the game, like the idea, because Nishant was coming from a family business background and he has also done his GFMB from SPJN. So he was like that Marwadi, from his Marwadi culture, he's coming, right? So he's like, I want to get like 100% for every 1 rupee I'm spending in this business. So the core of the business was he wanted to create a sustainable business, right? A business that is giving us profits. We did not go for the valuation game even back then. We were clear, like there are two things: either burn money, burn cash burning से आप अपना valuation बढ़ा लो, या तो you create a profitable business and then you sustain it. We went for the second route, right, guys? And guess what? Back then, everybody was like, guys, you're making a very big mistake. You need to, get funding. You need to go for the first round, the second round, or at least go for an angel investor. These are great options. I'm not saying they're bad. These are great options if you want to go that way. But on the other hand, creating a bootstrapped company is equally interesting, although it's challenging. It has its own challenges. It's interesting in its own way. You learn so much. You learn to respect your capital. You learn to respect the resources that you have. You become much more creative with the resources that you have, because you have to create something great with whatever is left, I would say, right? If you have, and we I have been talking to a lot of people recently for funding, not the investors but our peers, the other co-founders, about their journeys. And most of them are saying that if you can be bootstrapped, be
Be
bootstrapped.
bootstrapped. Awesome. So I think, students, one thing that you need to learn from all the podcasts that we have done till date, and all the founders and co-founders had one thing in common: it's always value and not valuation.
Absolutely.
Because if you can add value, valuation tends to follow.
Right.
And even Kirti here is saying the same thing, that if you can add value and make a profitable business, you will definitely get people who will chase you, and you will definitely get
Right.
money. Then it's your choice whether to take that money or not take that money, instead of the other way around, where you're only chasing money and not catering to the most important person, who's your customer. So if you can cater to your most important person, who's your stakeholder, who's your customer, everything else will tend to follow and come in place. So that's a wonderful learning
Yes.
for our students, Kirti. Another question that I have for you is, all businesses require a good team.
Yes.
How did you go about your hiring, and how did you get people excited to get into a boring business of Ayurveda and healthcare? Because that is something that we tend to procrastinate. That also preventive.
Yes, so we are into a very niche category. Uh, Honestly, for the first 2 to 3 years, it was only me and Nishant, right? Right from, creating, your orders, processing the orders, making it, packing it, creating a website, as well as doing your social media, creating your graphics, making invoices, everything. It was just the two people team running everything, right? Of course, we got help, but it wasn't like, a very big team. Even now, we want to stay a lean company, and that has been an advantage for us and rather than a disadvantage.
Disadvantage.
And whoever has come in has been like, we are very selective on who we let in, because we, when we are hiring somebody only for content, we expect that person to understand SEO, we expect that person to understand how are you supposed to do research on a topic, how are you supposed to even post it on social media. Because what's happening in today's time, with AI and Gen AI coming up so rapidly and catching up on most of our work and most of our jobs are getting replaced by AI, right? And even if AI is there or not there, in the coming years, right, it's mostly going to be, the job descriptions are going to change. It's not going to be only content, it's going to be content plus social media plus graphic designer. You have to become, what do you call it? Like a bunch of skill sets,
Bundle of
a
skills.
bundle of skills coming together is going to work excellently for you in the coming years. And what's going to stand out is understanding how to do research, understanding how to analyze data, and then taking an action. We are getting so much relied on AI to do our jobs. Even us as founders rely on AI to get our basic jobs done, right? So when we want someone to come as a part of our team, we want that person to bring something more to the table, right? Because the basic job of creating product ideas, or coming up with content ideas, is something AI is already doing. Automation is catching up very fast. So what we want is somebody to bring a unique bundle of skills,
Skills.
somebody maybe who understands how to create the export market ready, how to be export
Export
ready,
ready.
at the same time how to work on content. These are two very
Awesome.
different skill sets, and if you are able to get an expertise on this, there's no stopping you.
So to all my BCom students who are also BMS students and all other students who are doing export marketing, that subject is very relevant, which
Yes.
Kirti is trying to tell us. I'm sure please start attending Dr. Rita Khatri and Neha Galrani's class on export marketing so that you can learn how to get your immediate export license, how to get ECGC's insurance
Yes.
cover, how to do all these processes of bill of lading, invoice, shipping bill, etc., etc. So once you kind of come with that knowledge, she'll definitely pick you up in her organization,
Yes,
bundled
more
with
and more,
social
especially
media.
product companies, if you can get that skill set, it's awesome, guys. You should go for it.
Absolutely. Great. One more thing, what I think we got insights from Kirti with regards to social media, content, and graphics. So don't over specialize by saying I'm only graphic designer. You
Yes,
need to understand where that graphic is going to be actually utilized
absolutely.
and to what extent will that keywords come in your search engine optimization. So if you can bring a holistic bundle all together, that's how it will work. So let me be very honest. When we were going to do this podcast at HR College, and HSN. This is the HSNC's board's office, which is the management of HR College, and this is the studio which we had here. And the students were like, "Sir, हम लोग कौन से classroom में करेंगे?" And that's what I told my students of the ECEL, that you need to think out of the box. Don't
Yeah.
just look at kahan pe karenge. Let us figure out an alternative solution. And they figured this out with the help of our principal, Dr. Pooja Ramchandani. We could get this wonderful recording studio, and these students manage the entire social media, recording, editing, and they called me also to be part of this podcast. Ki how you will get some alumni for us, get Kirti to our podcast, and I'm so delighted that you and Nishant took the time out. Thank you so much. That's wonderful.
It's more of a pleasure and an honor for us to be here, sitting and getting an opportunity to speak about what we have got out of here. Because uh, it's not just for the professors, but it's also for the students, that we
Absolutely.
feel proud to come back, we feel proud to be invited back to our college. um, Walking down that memory lane, and at the same time getting a chance to walk up to our professors and say that, this is what you had said to me 5 years ago and it's still relevant. I just want you
Awesome.
to know that.
Awesome. And that's the validation that any teacher would like in their life. And when we get this validation at HR College, we feel pride in the work that we are doing in terms of imparting knowledge and creating leaders of the future. So that's a wonderful thing that Kirti said. Another interesting question that I have for you is, to all our HR students, all those who are looking at starting up, is it the right time or there is no right time?
Guys, there is no right time. I i think if the times have become much more easier for you to have your own startup. uh, into any space, right? Uh, you have got more content to start with. You have podcasts like these that help you understand how has someone gone through their journey before, right? 10 years ago, it was a very different scenario. People were reinventing the wheel again and again. You don't have to do that anymore. You have podcast, you have online courses. YouTube is, of course, at your fingertips. More than anything, even on the government level, right? Things
Absolutely.
have eased up a
Eased up
lot.
a lot.
There's much more access uh, to AI, and AI is going to make your job easier to start up. Let's not forget about that. Uh, Much more easier to reach other founders, which wasn't the case earlier. Social media is definitely in a very large way helping you to understand what is working and what is not working. This is the best time, like, to be in a startup, especially in the health and wellness segment,
Of
uh,
course.
and having a niche in Ayurveda. But it's tricky, it's challenging, yet it's rewarding.
Awesome.
If you're getting a chance to create something of your own, you should definitely go for it.
So, students, one more thing that across all the podcasts that we which we have understood from all our alumni startups, is that AI is going to be a game changer. Globally, it is spoken that AI is a game changer, and when we get validation from our alumni entrepreneurs who are either using or will use or are looking for such talent, so this is one piece that of the puzzle that is definitely static. There will be a lot of changes. As an academician, I personally don't know for what jobs I'm training. Reason being, the jobs of the future are unknown. You don't know tomorrow what jobs will be there. In our times, it was very simple: art, science, and commerce. Then came specialization: art, science, commerce, marketing, finance, HR, etc., etc. Now it will be art, science, commerce, and AI, ML. You don't know what is going to come. The only thing that is static is constant change. And these podcasts are going to help you to understand how you need to constantly evolve. So that is why we are doing this. Second thing, as she said that, Kirti said, these podcasts are going to help you. Please connect with them on LinkedIn. That is my
Yes.
second request. Connect to us. If you can't connect with them, we will connect you to them. The whole objective is that use the ecosystem that you already have. Why reinvent the wheel, as she said? When you already know that she's in the healthcare space and she's willing to share her knowledge, why do you need to reinvent the whole wheel? Suppose it's an export problem. Why don't you reach out to her and ask her, "Ki boss, I'm stuck with the license. How do I go ahead with it? Can you help me?" And I'm sure she'll be more than forthcoming to help you.
Absolutely. And on this front, I would also like to share that one of my friend, he is, he's currently into ISB and he's about to start his own health and wellness into supplements, right? So we have been in touch. There are a lot of things we share. And even though we are going to come up in the same industry, it's not like the competitor mentality is not going to work anymore. You have to be collaborative.
Absolutely.
And there are a lot of things because I have already been on that journey. Of course, he calls me up and asks me, Ki, Kirti, what am I supposed to do here? How am I supposed to go about it? And we have like an hour's call. Like we
Awesome.
discuss about
Awesome.
these things. So go for a collaborative approach. Don't think that somebody is coming into this space and they are going to become a hindrance. Rather than they are only going to propel your growth forward, because it's not only health and wellness, but India is too huge a market for consumption. Even in the service sector, India is too huge a market. There are a lot of untapped industries and categories, a lot of gaps to be filled. So get in touch with everyone, become a part of a cohort, and then collaborate to create more growth. So that would be my
So Kirti said a very interesting thing which we always speak in class: replace the competition C with the collaboration C. So that is what will help you achieve what is cohesive success, and together
yes,
we can achieve more, and there is more synergies as
yes,
compared to only competition where you have a mentality that I need to be one up on somebody. Rather collaborate and achieve 2 plus 2 as 22 rather than 2 plus 2 as only 4. So I think this is a wonderful insight you gave us, Kriti, and thank you so much. Another question that I have is, you're mainly into the digital space, which I read that your startup started selling online first. Were there any teething issues that you faced? If yes, would you like to share some examples? And how did you overcome those teething issues?
like when we were about to start and when we wanted to launch digitally.
Both. Like for example, I met one of my students who said, "Sir, website was a challenge. To get a good IT guy was a challenge. Then the payment reconciliation was the biggest challenge. I never knew who has paid me, from where it has come, and my half janam went in only reconciling. Then the backend was becoming a challenge. I don't know what challenges did you face."
We so as I mentioned earlier, like initially it was just me and Nishant doing a lot of things. what happened back then is that we learned everything, right? The website, and yeah, something interesting on this front. Whenever I got a chance, I went for an internship. The internship opportunities that came from here, right? I went for them, and I learned a lot. Maybe not on the job. See, it's always, you don't have to always stick to the classroom. Don't have to always stick to what sort of a job role you are getting. Go for internships, learn and understand what are they doing, how are they doing it. Of course, there are going to be a lot of issues when you're going to start your own, but there will always be a learning curve, and it can be smoothened out when you're working for someone else, right? It's completely fine to go for a small startup, to go for a 1 month old startup. I have interned at places where I was sitting in a cafe. It was a cafe with only 4 tables, right? And that's how I have done like around 4 internships, and all of them were like just one person. Or yeah, my first one was Baby Chakra, so I interned there. I got a chance to be a part of a young company, a young thing, and I learned a lot of things. It's not just how to create data entries, but it's also how are you supposed to talk, right? You don't know that when you're in college. How are you
Absolutely.
supposed to talk? How are you supposed to even create documents? How are you supposed to write an email? All of these things are taken for granted. Even today, I see a lot of hiring emails that come. Absolutely disaster,
My God.
guys. When we as founders or as a team, or the HR team is going and trying to get hiring into the company, we understand that it's you have put a lot of effort, but we need you guys to make it a little bit more easier for us, because there is a lot of competition, or maybe a flood of information at our behest. And secondly, uh, your internships are going to help you get a very good start when you're doing on your own. You already know how are you supposed to approach people. Are you supposed to go on LinkedIn? How are you supposed to get their email? These are very small tips that are going to help you, because finding the right email is a task sometimes, right?
Absolutely.
Finding the right connect is the task. um, Even understanding which email provider to go for, right?
Yeah.
How we use Zoho as of now. How did we know? I used it at one of my startups, and that was our first choice, and we are still sticking with it,
For
right?
sending bulk emails to.
Even bulk, no, internally also we use Zoho for our work.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So Zoho has
Gives you
this
a
whole
comprehensive.
comprehensive solution
Invoicing भी हो
provider.
जाएगा.
Inventory भी होती है उसमें,
Awesome.
mail भी है, Zoho books है. So we use the whole ecosystem, right? And
Awesome.
it's made our job easier. How did I get to know about this?
Internship.
Internships, right? How did I learn graphic designing? I was interning at some place, and it was just the co-founder
हाँ.
said, Kirti, I'm
Canva
going
Canva सीखो.
Canva सीखो, because what happens? These startups don't have a lot of funds, right? They want ki yaar, we want interns
हाँ.
at a very low cost. And secondly, I'm going to come back to this point. And secondly, they don't want to end up giving a lot of creatives में ज़्यादा पैसा नहीं देना है, right? क्योंकि
Absolutely.
we want just information to be put out.
हाँ.
तो वहां पर मैंने कैनवा सीखा, वहां पर मैंने
Awesome.
डिजाइनिंग सीखा.
Awesome.
Then I started getting a hang of the website.
हाँ.
Then I got a free hand to do a website, and that's how the base of Foresta's website started.
Brilliant.
So
Brilliant.
I ended up learning WordPress. Ended up learning WooCommerce, and the first, second, third update of WordPress was done by me, of course, with the help of a developer.
हाँ.
We have a developer in house, but the idea, how to understand, I started understanding what is design language because I worked
Worked
here.
here. So my friends, one more thing that is a learning as part of the placement cell, which I take pride in. Of course, ECL is always there. That HR has been very forthcoming in providing placements. So these are
Yes.
opportunities which people have exploited. Sometimes the internship exploits you. Sometimes you exploit the internship. In both cases, there is learning.
Let the internship exploit you. Trust me. Just a few days ago, I happened to talk to someone, just telling that person, why don't you go for an internship, right? यार बहुत गधा मजूरी करवाते हैं वो लोग. I'm like, do it. You're getting a chance. Do it, right? And I remember this used to happen in college, that we were also looking for, oh, how much are they paying us, right? Guys, go work for free. Just work for free if you want. Give them money. And I'm not promoting you have to pay money to get your job or your internship. But it's the idea, like, even if you just have to put staples and do nothing all day, just sit there, just talk to people, but go for your internships.
Awesome. I think that's a wonderful takeaway that Kirti has told us that please, 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 when we say y'all don't listen, so we have to get our alumni entrepreneurs to say this to y'all that internship is a very essential component. And today, Maharashtra government has made it compulsory under the national education policy, and it's a mandatory component in all your curriculums now. So earlier it was optional during their time, now it is
Yes.
mandatory. So my strong recommendation is do it before the time it comes into your curriculum so that you can be a little ahead in the learning curve as she was when she did her internships in different domains altogether. So wonderful, Kirti. Pleasure talking to you, and thank you so much for your time. And we are delighted for you to come back to your college and give your time here.
Would love that.
Awesome. Good afternoon. We are very delighted to have Nishant Jhunjhunwala from Foresta Organics. We just had Kriti from Foresta, and they both were batchmates, 2017
17.
batch. And I thought it is best to have both the co-founders because we'll get different insights when they both come together. We could have put both of them together, but the best is to ask them separately how is their journey. So Nishant, firstly, thank you for coming. I'm
Thank you so
delighted
much,
to
sir.
see our students doing very well. I remember him coming with a resume. सर ये क्या जरूरत है मेरे को नहीं बनाने का आई डोंट वांट अ जॉब मैं मारवाड़ी खानदान से आता हूँ एंड करना तो मुझे धंधा ही है
Correct.
am I correct if I
Correct.
remember
Correct. Correct.
and today while he was coming back here he was like sir thank you like for what like thank you for what like sir thank you for teaching me how to write a resume it kind of helped me today because I have to read resume screen and shortlist so could you share your experience what happened
So one thing I think when I was in college, one of the things that people at my age or anybody, एक thing मतलब जो granted के ले लेते हैं, is your behavior, is your discipline, is the way how you look, how you present, how do you message somebody, and we don't realize that how important it is to be correct at the right step, right? And when I came to HR college, that was one thing that most of the professors were very, strict about. That if you want to talk to us, you have to talk in a certain way. I remember Nidhi ma'am, I was talking to her, and I ended up using some words in Hindi. मैं उनसे हिंदी में बात करने लग गया. And she said me that Nishant, you have joined an English medium college, na? It's not that I can't talk to you in Hindi. I can very well talk to you in Hindi outside this campus. But if you have joined an English medium campus, you should learn the language. And I remember telling her, yeah, English, I'm not, not very good at grammar. And she said, I'll help you fix that. But if you have come to an institution, try and do something, right? So it used to be very annoying. I'll be honest about it.
that's okay
College में annoying लगता था वो सब. But once we went out, दुनिया में जब बाहर गए, when we started seeing the world, we realized that we have a gift of going to the right college, learning that basics and learning those things right. I'll give you an example. Just last month, me and Kirti, we were flying to Delhi uh, to get our Forbes award.
awesome
So we were flying to Delhi. It was a morning flight, 9 o'clock, and the flight was running delayed because Delhi mein there's a lot of fog in winters and everything. And we just had one carry-on bag between the both of us. There's just one bag that we were carrying because we were supposed to go in the morning and come back at night. कुछ check-in नहीं था, and we were waiting. The flight got delayed, and I sort of dozed off while waiting. So we were the last two people sort of to board the aircraft. I was seated on 18B, Kirti was seated on 18C, and there was a gentleman on 18A who was already there. So when I entered, there was no space super to put the cabin bag. And his bag was sort of kept in a way that if it was readjusted, I could possibly fit in my luggage. I was just trying to readjust that, and he ended up screaming on me that, why did you touch my luggage? You're not allowed to do that. And I said, "Okay, I don't want to spoil my mood. I'm having a very good day today. I don't want to do it." I said, okay, please let it go. I'm sorry. I'll find another space in the aircraft. And we let it go. End of topic. 2 weeks ago, there was an event called India Food Forum. So all the FMCG giants and all the brands, they come together for a 2-day session. And I ended up meeting that same gentleman there.
awesome
It turns out he was a very senior sales guy from a very big FMCG giant. And we were just looking at each other, and we both had the same feeling that we have seen each other somewhere. And then this person introduced us, meet Nishant, he's from Foresta Organics. ये लोग ऐसा ऐसा कर रहे हैं. So this guy looks at me, and he's like, तू इनको ऐसे क्यों देख रहा है? I'm like, because we have met.
Hmm.
Like, where did you guys meet? I said on 18th November, we were on Indigo 6C555, Bombay to Delhi. You remember? I did not, of course, we did not talk
of
about
course
it.
yeah
But these are the things that really tell you that how small the world is, right? You meet somebody, you at every time. जब आप घर से बाहर निकलते हो, you have to remember this, that whatever you do, you don't know how is it going to come back to you, right? So example, when we were in college, चप्पल पहनना is a very common trend. Tracks में चले जाना, चप्पल पहन लेना, anything. And we don't realize that how many people we meet during the day. how many people interact with us.
Absolutely.
And how are they going to probably remember us after 5 years, after 10 years, right? Let's just say, I'll talk about myself. Not a very good student in academics, I'll be very honest. Not a very good student at it. While I was in college, I don't think there was anything remarkable that one could note about me, or any professor that could remember me for anything, right? But even just having a basic decent behavior, right? अगर वो बोलते हैं ना कि कुछ अच्छा नहीं करो तो कुछ बुरा भी मत करो.
Super.
Just having a neutral behavior in college. I don't know how my fate has turned. 5 years later, I'm here again, back here at the same place, right?
You're welcome.
Right. So it's always like one thing that then everybody needs to remember is the world is very small, and try to be in your best behavior every single time.
I think what Nishant has beautifully said is the circle of life.
Right.
It is a circle, and what goes around comes around.
Definitely.
And he being polite at that time has helped him meet the gentleman again, even if it struck a business deal or no. But at least he has a soft corner.
Correct.
That this gentleman did not, kind of fought with me again and got his things
Correct.
his way. And the next thing that he spoke very beautifully is the soft skills. Come what may, soft skills is something that will help you go places. Hard skills you definitely require. Without competence, there is no way.
Correct.
If you don't know how to use what the co-founder earlier said, Kirti, you need to know Canva, you need to know social media, you need to know all of these things. But if you can't complement it with the soft skills,
Correct.
It won't work. And that's where I see the synergy between Nishant and Kirti, where she spoke on the hard skill and he's speaking on the soft skills, and they both match.
Correct.
So let me ask you another interesting story. Both of you were friends on campus. Is it easy to do business with friends?
I think it has its own pros and cons. The pro is you know that person already, so you somewhere understand what is the ethos and what are the principles that guide that person. The con is probably you can't be hard on that person when you want to be, or when you just on days you feel like just yaar ye kya hai, what are you doing, right? But I think one of the most beautiful things about working with a friend is that you know that morally you are aligned. I remember I had met RR Cables. They had once come down to our college when I was at SPGN for a guest lecture, and they're a big family. They run a family business together. And my professor said that whenever I go to family businesses, I ask them that how are you guys able to sit in the same boardroom, right? Tauji, chachas, bhaiya, cousins, and then how can you go back home and be at peace with each other? And he said there's one principle that we have put in our boardroom on a paper, चिपका दिया वहाँ पे कि मतभेद है मनभेद नहीं है. And that thing stuck with me. When you are at a workplace, you both can fight, you both can have difference of opinions, because that is in the best interest of the organization, right? I don't have anything personally, attacking you, or I don't, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, right? So once you understand that, whatever we do is in the best interest of the organization, I think.
Awesome.
So
Matbhed hai, manbhed nahi. I think that's a very interesting quote that he made, that there could be difference in opinion, but there are no differences between us.
Correct.
And that's very well put, and that is beautifully said. So I think now I know how you both work together as a team.
Correct.
There could be, you may not agree on certain items,
Correct.
but in principle, you know that it has to be best for Foresta Organics.
In fact, a very interesting thing on this. So, because we've been friends for so long, our families know each other very well. So my mother keeps asking me that, how you and Kirti gel along, I don't understand because you both are so different. And my mother actually finds more convenient talking to her than to me. So she keeps asking me this, how do you guys gel along? And I said, that's the beauty about working together, that we both are very different from each other.
Awesome.
That brings two different thought processes on the table, right? So if, for example, when we are launching a new product or doing a new product, so Kirti handles the whole product, designing the product ingredients, the formulations, everything part. And I handle the finance part of it. So we sort of know, our vendors also now know कि कीर्ति प्रोडक्ट पे कट डाउन नहीं करने देगी और निशांत प्राइस पे कट डाउन करने बोलेगा, but we need to strike a balance, right? So it goes well.
So you come to a middle ground and you find peace and solace there, and that's the final thing that will go out. Awesome, wonderful. I think that's a great thing. So Nishant, I asked the same question to Kirti as well. Paisa is always a problem when it comes to startup, and she shared her journey कि 1.5 लाख रुपए से हम लोग ने start किया, and today you're doing very well.
Correct.
And you're still bootstrapped.
Yes.
So how do you come to a middle ground when it comes to whether to go for funding or not to go for funding?
So one thing is, when you're going for a funding or not, one has to remember that somebody said me this in the industry very well, कि getting funding is like getting on a treadmill that you cannot stop. Because once you have investors on board and you have raised money from someone, you are answerable and you are supposed to run till the music stops, or like till the time you die, right? Absolutely. Because किसी का पैसा लगा हुआ है उसमें. So you have to take every decision and steps, and we have seen in the past also a lot of startups have made decisions because of the investor pressure or any of those sorts. One of the reasons why we remained bootstrapped was because when we started this right outside college.
Absolutely.
Right. So there was not enough conviction between the both of us also that are we taking the right path or what we think in our head, because everybody thinks in their head that I have sorted it out, I figured it out, but it's the world that will tell you have you figured it out or not, right? And we felt the same thing that we are young, हमको ऐसा लग रहा है कि this is a very good idea, but probably this would not work, or probably it's too stupid also.
True.
So let's try and understand that is there a business case to make in this. So, one of the things that I had heard that time, I don't remember the professor, one of the professors at Stanford had said that a startup is anything which is very small, very cheap, trying to find a business, trying to find a model which is scalable, repeatable, So we essentially were a startup. What is a startup? It's trying to find a business model, right? Once you figure out a business model, then it's something that you grow on and everything.
Awesome.
Right. And I remember we had met a business colleague and they said, क्या funding क्यों नहीं ले रहे हो? Is there something that's wrong? I said, यार अगर building की foundation ही नहीं बना पाऊंगा मैं, तो paint खरीद के क्या करूँ? Right. If I can't create a structure, why should I decorate it?
Absolutely.
Right. So we figured that out, that one, we don't want to do that. And second, because I come from a very Marwadi rooted business, it was a conviction कि पैसा कमाना है. Like my books have to be PAT positive. मेरे को EBITDA नहीं समझता. If I say my father I'm EBITDA positive, he'll tell me go back to your sleep. You're still in dreams. You don't know what you're talking about. You're delusional. So we are like हमको PAT positive रहना है. अगर investor का पैसा मैंने ले लिया, and one of the things about resources is when you have them you can't respect them. When you have them you can't value them.
Absolutely.
तो मेरे पास अगर लाख रुपए का फोन है, मेरे को लगता है ये तो नॉर्मल है, राइट? जब 10,000 का आएगा तब पता चलेगा अरे लाख रुपए वाले की वैल्यू थी, राइट? So because we did not have the resources, we knew that we have to be frugal on everything, right? So one of the things is that our website today is something which has been developed fully in-house, and all kudos to Kirti for doing it in-house. She has learned WordPress from scratch, पूरा बनाया है, and the cost of that website is fractional to what we would have spent going out and getting it from an agency.
True.
It's fractional, right? And we have learned a lot. More than I say this कि अगर पैसा नहीं भी कमाया हमने, like me and Kirti had discussed this one day, बोलते ना किसी दिन you should sit down and talk about the hard truths of life.
Absolutely.
We sat down and we spoke that the hard truth is, let's assume that Foresta never makes money, and this does not work for us. What is the hard truth? The hard truth is that in 3 years, 5 years span, we would have learned about so many things which possibly we would have never been able to learn outside, right? I was just talking to Pooja ma'am and I said her कि कॉलेज में द फोमो वाज एमबीए जब बीएमएस में रहते हो,
करेक्ट,
सामने टाइम था, आधे बच्चे कॉलेज खत्म होकर टाइम जाते थे टू प्रिपेयर फॉर जीमैट, कैट सीटी. एंड मैं और कीर्ति एक दिन बात कर रहे थे कि हमने तो अभी तक फॉर्मल एमबीए किया ही नहीं है, राइट? एमबीए करना चाहिए था क्या? एडमिशन मिलता क्या? एंट्रेंस टेस्ट देना पड़ता, सब करना पड़ता. अ फ्यू मंथ्स अगो आई मेट एडमिशंस फैकल्टी फ्रॉम आईएसबी at a social event, and I was talking to him and I just said casually, yeah, I don't think I can ever be at ISB, right? मेरे से entrance test वगैरह नहीं होएगा. And after a span you have been in working life, it's difficult to go back to academics. I said नहीं होगा मेरे से. He said, Nishant, if you and Kirti are willing to come to ISB, I am willing to personally interview you, because you are not understanding this, that what is an ISB looking for? What is a B school looking for? To create a diversified cohort where students come in from different backgrounds and add value to each other, right? Like, let's assume that there are 10,000 engineers in this country जिन्होंने engineering किया है, then CAT दिया है, CET दिया है, and then they're applying for a B school. Now how do I understand what's the difference between these 10,000 people? Possibly only by marks. That's what happens कि मैं cut off रखता हूँ and by marks I'll decide who is better than whom. But possibly the value addition that will happen to the cohort would be the same from all these 10,000 people, right? So what is a premier B school looking at? Adding people from different backgrounds, people who can come back and add experience. So you will hear from a lot of wise people saying that ideally you should wait 3 or 4 years before you do your MBA, gather some work X, then go for your MBA. It's because MBA is something that polishes you, right? So you should have that base again to get that polishing done on. So then I realized that ठीक है चलो 5 साल में अगर कुछ भी नहीं कमाया, but like ही बन गई कि चलो we can go to one of the finest B schools of the country.
Absolutely.
Right, I can walk in there and ठीक है, I'm not saying that I'll get an admission with a garland. I'll have to do my work done, but
absolutely,
I still have a shot, right? For what I feel that I don't stand a shot, I have a shot, right? So the experience, the learning, it has been phenomenal.
Great.
Being in Bootstrapped.
So I think what Nishant rightly said, कि पैट पॉजिटिव नहीं होगा तो घर पे पापा लेगा ही नहीं, सिंपल। और ख्यालों में तो छोड़ो, घर में भी नहीं लेगा उनको। So that's what we all have to look at. Again, what we spoke to Kirti as well, that it's always value and not the valuation.
Correct.
So if you can make the money, that is where the valuation will keep following, and then only you can buy the paint. So please work on the foundation first, and then the paint will automatically come, where you can decide which color मेरा वाला pink match होता है या नहीं होता है.
Correct.
So that's wonderful. Firstly, hearty congratulations on the Forbes Award.
Thank you
Would you
so
like
much,
to tell the students more about what this Forbes Award is?
So basically, Forbes does this year edition every year. It's about select 200 companies. So they identify 200 companies which are doing very well and which have a potential to globally also dominate the industry. So we sat through the nomination process, interviews diye, sab kiya, and Forbes found us to be eligible to have that potential. So we are currently already present in the US market globally. We are also looking at expanding into UAE and UK markets. So again, when we sat through the whole Forbes process, we realized that it's only about your soft skills. How are you able to present yourself and make a case study for yourself, right? So it has been an interesting journey. The nomination, the interview process, we learned a lot of things. We learned how the global vision works, how things work after a certain scale. Attending the event was again phenomenal. It's like you always feel, whenever you feel that you know it all, go to such an event and you will learn that you have just started, boss. There's a lot left to
Absolutely.
see and learn.
What Nishant said is beautiful, that there is always more to learn and there is always more light at the end of the tunnel.
Correct.
You feel कि आ गया है, but it's not the end ever. There's always more light and there's always something more.
Correct.
And beyond. So that's wonderful, Nishant. And it's been pleasure.
Correct.
Thank you for coming down to college, and both of you. I mean, I'm delighted to see how you complement each other so well, and you're an example for other co-founders who are looking out to start together. You may want to connect with them on LinkedIn further, or maybe any other platform where you can take some more insights on how they should work on their startup. I'm sure they all will be very forthcoming, because क्या है, एक जन जिसने startup किया होता है उसको हमेशा दूसरे को help करने की चाह होती है.
Correct.
And that's the sole reason they are here.
Correct.
कि they want all of you to benefit from their experiences, and I'm delighted that they wish to share this as alumni entrepreneurs, and we are always delighted as HR College to invite them. 9th of Feb again is the alumni meet at Garware Club. So each one spread the word, come together, consider it as a reunion, get your whole batch together, and I think we all should meet there on the 9th of Feb. So thank you so much, Nishant.
Thank you so much, sir.
Pleasure talking to you, and God bless you.
Thank you.
And we wish you all the best for all your future endeavors.
Thank you.
And I'm sure you will get even more awards very soon, and we'll be inviting you as a chief guest someday to our convocation ceremony, hopefully.
Definitely.
All the best and God bless.
Thank you, sir.